So last year, we anticipated Nights of Lights to be similar to the Nights of Lights events that we'd had over the past 30 years. This is our 31st year of Nights of Lights. And so we planned it and programmed it as if it was the same Nights of Lights we'd had for the previous 29 years, and it wasn't, and we were surprised. What we saw was a much higher level of visitation than we'd ever seen before. What we saw was, at some points, more people in town than we would see on 4th of July. We saw all of our primary and all of our secondary roads into town completely blocked. We had a helicopter from the Sheriff's Department fly over and do a film showing the traffic congestion, and he had I'm not sure if it was a heat sensitive or infrared camera that it showed the heat signatures of all the vehicles and all the pedestrians. You could see people walking down the sidewalk. And when he flew over downtown, there were so many people downtown that it just showed up as one giant white blob of heat. He couldn't pick up the individual signatures of people. I went downtown during a Friday night during one of these peak events, and it was clear that we were not in control. We had lost control. Luckily, nothing bad happened. We survived it, but right before the end of the season, something really bad did happen in New Orleans. A man drove a truck down Bourbon Street and killed 14 people. And then he got into a shootout with the police, and the police killed him. This was while Nights of Lights was ongoing, and we realized that we would not have been able to prevent the same thing from happening in St. Augustine if someone drove down St. George Street. So before the event was over with, we already were preparing for this season, and the primary focus was safety of the visitors and also mobility, trying to manage the traffic congestion when we have surges of people. We had done that traditionally through a shuttle system, and we use parking lots at the county government complex, at the Health and Human Services Department and County Administration, their Taj Mahal building, and we stage a shuttle service from there. It's a free shuttle, and they're not shuttles like you see on downtown. They're not green trolleys. They're like Greyhound buses, and people can park there for free, take a shuttle into town. It drops them off at the Visitors Information Center and takes them back for free. Last year, traffic congestion was so bad that the shuttles were paralyzed. I mean, people would get on the shuttle and they'd be sitting on this bus for 45 minutes, an hour, trying to get into town. So we had a mobility problem, a big mobility problem. We had a security problem, and a variety of other small problems. We saw unlicensed vendors coming into town, for example. People who would just drive into town, open up the trunk of their car, take out hats and t-shirts and glow sticks, and just walk through the crowds selling merchandise, which undercuts all the legitimate businesses in town who pay taxes and do this legitimately. So we had small stuff like that. We had a terrible deficiency in restrooms, public restrooms. The city has 66 public bathrooms downtown. And by bathroom, I mean that's a fixture. All in, 66. That's between the Visitors Information Center, the Casa del Hidalgo, which is about halfway down St. George Street, and the city marina. When you have 50,000 people in town, 66 bathrooms it's an afterthought. So merchants were overwhelmed. They couldn't just open up their bathrooms to these levels of tourism. the Casa Monica Hotel became the de facto public restroom spot for the south side of downtown. They very graciously opened up and managed that. We don't want them to do that again. It's unfair. So we saw a bathroom problem, we saw a mobility problem, a security problem, and we saw a parking problem. Now, we always have a parking problem, but we've got about 1,900 public parking spaces downtown. About 1,100 of those are in the garage. The rest are in surface parking lots or on the street. Those fill up quickly. And so what was happening is people were driving into town thinking that there was parking and just meandering around looking for parking through neighborhoods or hoping that the garage would open up and stacking up cars around the garage into the bayfront and up San Marco and paralyzing our transportation grid. We saw people parking on the Fort Greene. We had never seen that before. So we got a parking problem. We started having a conversation with the City Commission before the end of Nights of Lights about these issues that we were seeing, and we started coming up with a plan to address each issue. We took it one step at a time, and we had conversations with St. Johns County about expanding their parking for us. We talked to them about having expanded shuttling. We talked to DOT about dedicating one of these lanes on San Marco as a transit lane, southbound. It would be where there is parallel parking on the street now, and that would be converted into a shuttle lane during Nights of Lights. So we could get people in and get people out, have people park downtown. We needed a more effective way to get that message out, and the VCB has helped us with that, and you're going to see Susan go through that in a minute. We also entered into a lease agreement with the cathedral downtown to use their parking lot where the Bank of America is on the corner of Cathedral Place and St. George for public restrooms. And on 4th of July, we put 100 public porta potties in that parking lot, and it worked. In fact, it was too much for 4th of July. So we have got a plan to put out 77 additional restrooms for Nights of Lights. We're going to put them at about a third of that parking lot is going to be public restrooms. We're going to put them on the side streets on Treasury Street, on one of the side streets on Kuna Street, and on both sides of the Government House on King Street and on Cathedral Place. So we'll have more public restrooms spread out through the downtown. Now for light up night, we're going to have even more public restrooms on the bayfront. And for the Christmas Regatta, which is also a big event, we'll have more restrooms on the bayfront. We've also created, we've geo-fenced the downtown for ride shares. So one of the things we saw was people would go downtown, they'd use Uber or Lyft, and when they wanted to go home, they'd say, pick me up in front of the Martini Bar. Well, that guy couldn't get there. Or he would be stuck in traffic, and he would say, oh, I'm down the street in front of Ripley's. Come find me. So what we've done is, just like they do at the airport, we have geo-fenced downtown, and if you call Lyft or Uber, they direct you to a place where they're picking people up. They're not picking you up in front of the hotel or the bar. And we've got places on the bayfront and in front of the plaza and at the clock tower. That's where you will go to pick up your rideshare hub. That's your rideshare hub. We've also entered into a mutual aid agreement with St. Johns County for additional help with security and with traffic management. So there's going to be a bigger presence of sheriff's deputies and PSAs working the events. And we've encapsulated the downtown historic district with what are called meridian barricades. And a meridian barricade, it looks like a big metal L bracket with little wheels on it. And on the back end, there's these claws. And a firefighter or a police officer will put one of those in an area where he doesn't want or she doesn't want cars to go, and it will stop a vehicle from driving down St. George Street or one of the side streets. It doesn't look like much, but if you saw them on YouTube, I mean, it'll stop a dump truck. It's really remarkable. It'll just lift a car right up in the air and stop it. This was the barricades they had on encapsulating Bourbon Street in New Orleans, but for some reason they had moved one to open up a sidewalk, and that's how the guy got onto Bourbon Street. He drove right around it. So it was a flaw, not in the technology or the product, it was a flaw in the placement of the barricade. And these are used in Jacksonville for Jaguars games. They're used all over the state. They're on their way. We used them for 4th of July. So we'll be able to safeguard the pedestrians during the event. We're looking for more shuttling. So we have now increased our shuttling. So we will be shuttling Friday, Saturday, and Sunday throughout the season, and every day between Christmas and New Year's. That's the big surge. That will be supported by the app that you'll see in a few minutes from the VCB. I'm kind of just doing this off the top of my head. I'm sure there's stuff that I'm missing. We've also increased our custodial services during the event. So when we just had our own internal staff, our city employees, trying to manage the restrooms and the solid waste, they were overwhelmed. So the same service that is renting us porta potties is going to lease folks that will maintain those porta potties and trash cans along with our staff. So you won't see bags of trash piled up next to trash cans. What was happening was we've got throughout downtown, we've got these compactors, and we've got people that just go in the circuit and take the trash out of the trash cans, put them in the back of like a golf cart type vehicle, and drive those to a compactor where they're squished, and they do that all night when there's an event. What we saw last year was that they couldn't drive through the crowds. So they were walking through the crowds, and they could take the bags of trash out of the cans, but they couldn't get there to pick up the bags of trash. So what we saw on social media is pictures of the Christmas tree, and in the picture was a trash can overflowing with trash. So we learned 2 lessons. One is you don't put a trash can next to the Christmas tree. And 2 is you have to have a way to move that solid waste more effectively. And so we're figuring that out. We've got a plan for that. What we also saw was with 66 bathrooms that we had last year, visitors were frustrated because they had to wait to go to the bathroom. And what that resulted in was vandalism of the restroom facilities. So we would replace a toilet, and then 2 days later, we'd have to replace the same toilet again, and then the next night, we were replacing the sink because people were just getting in there, and they were so frustrated. Our custodial staff would sometimes go into the Casa del Hidalgo to clean the facility, and people would yell at them and become violent to the extent that they'd have to call a police officer and wait until people got out just to clean the facilities, and there would be a line out the door. So anyway, we've got some help on the way with that. At its core, the Nights of Lights is just a holiday lighting display. That's all it is. We turn lights on in the trees. And during that season, there's 3 events. There's the light up night itself, where we do 4, 3, 2, 1, and hit the switch. There's the regatta, which is the boats that are all dressed up with lights that go down the bayfront. And there's a Christmas parade. But apart from those three events, it's just lights in the trees and lights on buildings. And we're going to see what happens this season with the additional resources that we put into it, and then we'll adjust from there. We're also going to close off access to these neighborhoods around downtown so people can't drive through them. And we're going to post signs in the downtown neighborhoods that identify the residential neighborhoods as residence parking only. We hope that that cuts down on the through traffic, because we just saw a reaction from our residents, which was, this cannot go on. They were paralyzed, they were stuck in their neighborhoods, you know, between Thanksgiving and almost February. They were not having a good time. So we're trying to help the residents. We're trying to make the experience for the visitors better, because we want to maintain a good quality of commerce and quality of life at the same time. We're trying to find that balance. And we're going to adjust as we go. We'll learn as we go. And this is going to be an iterative process. Next, you know, this season will teach us things, and we'll learn from that, and we'll make adjustments for the following season. We've also are going to institute a shuttle on the island. So if you can picture in your mind, we've got what's called a star circulator downtown. It's like a big airport bus. And it picks people up at the parking garage, and it drives through the downtown area. It's free. We're going to take that big airport bus, and we're going to put it on Anastasia Island, and we're going to pick people up on the beach at the hotels, and people can park at the AMP and Anastasia Baptist on light up night. And we'll have places where people can park, and we'll pick people up. We're trying to capture the people that would normally be driving into town, and we'll pick people up on the beach, and we'll drop them off sort of where the Seafair, it's not called Seafair anymore, it's Candlelight. Anyway, right at the base of the Bridge of Lions, and we'll just do a circuit until I think 11 o'clock at night. So hopefully we're going to capture all the folks on the island that want to go to to Nights of Lights, so they can stay at their hotels or just drive to a beach city hall and get picked up. And we've solved the mobility problem to a great degree on the island. It's more tricky on downtown. And I've been rambling on here for quite a few minutes. So, workforce parking. So one of the big problems we saw was the people that work downtown don't have parking, can't get in. So what we've done is we have taken 2 city parking lots downtown. One is the Tokes Place parking lot, and that's right where St. George and Hippolyta intersect. It's sort of behind Florida Cracker, right back there. That parking lot is going to be converted to workforce-only parking, and we'll sell parking passes to business owners that they can then give to their waiters, waitresses, retail people, and it'll be reserved just for workforce parking. We're also going to do the same thing with the Granada Street parking lot, which is behind City Hall. We're going to convert a city parking lot to workforce-only parking. So people who work downtown will have a place to park. And finally, we've entered into a lease agreement with Flagler College so that in December, when the school is not in session, we'll have 250 spaces in the Flagler College parking garage on Malaga Street, which is right next to the fire station, also reserved for workforce parking for the folks that work downtown. So we're trying to accommodate the people who work downtown to keep this economic engine alive, because y'all aren't making any money if your workers can't get into town. The app should help. You're going to see an app that identifies all the parking lots in town, And ultimately, we'd like to see that app identify when those parking lots in our garage are full. So if people are looking at that app coming into town, they know, oh, the Tolomato lot's full, I'm not going to drive downtown, or the garage is full, I'm not driving downtown, and force them to go into the shuttle parking lot and shuttle them into town. We're also going to have dynamic messaging signage so that when you're driving into town, you'll see these screens with text on them that says, city garage is full. You know, take a left-hand turn to go to the shuttle parking lot. And we're trying to direct everyone into the shuttle lot and keep them from driving into downtown. Here's the trick. We do know that there is a percentage of people who live in our community, and by community I mean St. Johns County, who are coming to the event without the intent of ever parking. It's a nice night, let's just drive down and see the lights. And we cannot prevent that from happening. So if they're not planning on parking and walking around and they just want to drive around and see the lights, that adds to the traffic congestion, and we haven't figured that one out yet. That's all I've got. It's a lot.
This is a community event. Nights of Lights is not the city's burden, okay? Let's just be clear about it. It is a community event. It's for the city, it's for the county, it's for the visitors, it's for the businesses. So how do we pull it all together and make it successful? I think that David and the team, certainly Melissa, a lot of other people in the room here have looked at it from a city perspective of how do we make this work? We're looking at it from a visitor perspective. How do we make this safe for everyone? How do we take care of the residents? So we're all talking and coming together. But the beauty of it is that we are truly all collaborating. And you heard what David said in the presentation today. And what I'm going to show you right now is what we're doing from the Visitors and Convention Bureau perspective. I look at things like, how do we solve a problem? You know, yes, it is about bringing visitors here. That's great. That's $24 million in bed tax revenues each year. But how do we solve this problem? How do we be part of the solution and not sit in the corner and say, don't bother me? So as I looked at it, it's like, what can we do? We know that the city's going to take care of their infrastructure. We needed to help, I felt, more so from a communication and education perspective. So that's the role that we have been working on. We worked closely with Melissa Whistle, kudos to her and her team, and also with Wayne Larson. Where's Wayne? I think oh, there, okay, over there. Oh, there you are. And his team. And what we're doing is we're pulling together a communication plan. We've got with the Chamber, we've got with the Cultural Council. We're bringing all of these entities together to say, let's educate people. And our campaign is called Know Before You Go. And I'm going to share just a little bit of that, and then I'm going to talk about the app, and then you guys can go have a great day. We have set up on our website, we've got a knightsoflights.com, which is our webpage for all of the information about NOL. And one of the things that I felt was important is we've never told people this is not a drive-through event. If you go to other cities, they have a lot of drive-through opportunities for lights. We haven't really told them that, so let's make that first and foremost important. It is not it's a drive-through. It's a walk-through experience, not a drive-through. So that's one of our key messaging. We want them to park in the lots, preferably outside of the city. I'm not doing anything to send them downtown. We're trying to tell them there's these free shuttles. We're telling them to have patience, to allow extra time. This is a process to go through. It is a beautiful time of year to enjoy, but also if you want to enjoy it the best, come during the midweek. If you come on weekends, it's going to be very busy. So my team has developed all of these materials, and I'm going to show you a few of them. We're going to be starting today with a sales blitz going out to the community. We have tent cards, so that, and this is all free for all of you, okay? There's some on the back table, take any that you need. These are tent cards with a QR code, so whether it's a visitor, county resident, city resident, business, they know they can click on this and it will go to this website. It also will allow you, will show you how to download the app that I'm going to show you in just a moment. We also have, and these are going out to everyone, an FAQ page. So a lot of times people don't know all the questions. They have their employees and they don't know all the answers. Give them this material. So we're going to share all of that, and there's some on the back table. And then in addition, we have a poster here, and I'll try to hold it up. But these are on the back table, and again, it's a QR code, very, very, very simple, but that's going to be distributed. I think we printed 5,000 of these, so we're going to be getting out in the community over the next few days with all of these. I would ask all of you to please share. Let's help educate everyone. Now I want to show you the app. So first of all, if you have a phone, I'm sure maybe a few of you have a phone with you. What I'd like for you to do is download the app. It is free. What it does is there's a variety of things that we have available on this app. I have to give kudos to Visit St. Augustine because this wasn't our creation. We kicked around and talked to them about it, but Visit St. Augustine is behind the scenes, the entity that we collaborated with and their team to make this happen. And then, of course, we had the city got involved. Kudos to Ruben, David, Melissa. Those guys have gotten involved and given us information so that we can talk about parking and so that we can make sure things are real time. So I'm going to show you just a few screenshots here. Let me go back to this. Okay, so basically we're talking about parking, mobility, upcoming events, things to do, live music, restaurant, shopping. We launched this yesterday, which is really cool, super excited about it. And around November 1st, we're going to have another iteration where we'll do an update, and that update will show where the public restrooms are. We think that's an important feature. We're also going to incorporate webcams. And the reason for doing the webcams is just to show people de facto, look, this is how busy it is right now. Do you want to come? So we also have the webcams on our webpage as well. We'll be adding more things. One of the things we don't have this year, I don't know if we'll get to it until next year, but we don't have all of the paid parking lots in downtown. The main thing that we're doing is we're showcasing the free shuttle lots and then, of course, the garage. I know David mentioned earlier, we're trying to do this real time. One of the decisions that we made is on Fridays and Saturdays during the peak times, it's going to be so busy. We know that that garage closes down about noon. So we're going to show it as grayed out, that it won't be available, even though there could be 2 spots that become available or whatever. We don't want to contribute to sending people downtown to sit in a long line when the reality of them getting a space is probably slim and none. Again, we'd rather send them to the lots. So some of the cool things on the app is that you can park and ride. You can actually look on the app. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure, folks, that we intentionally set the parking up, that it's not going to be available till November 8th.
November 8th, okay.
I just wanted to clarify that what you're seeing is what it will look like,
Yep.
but we're not ready.
Yeah, and thank you. No, and that's great. Thank you, Melissa, because that is an important point. This is still evolving. It is our first attempt to get this launched, and we're really, again, super excited. But some of the things you're going to see here is, you'll be able to plug in and say, okay, what's the closest lot to me? Okay, how long is it going to take me to get there? Then when you get there, and you can save your parking spot, you can find out the estimated shuttle times. Now, this is an estimation. We were not 100% certain on that, but it's going to give people an idea. Do I have time to go to the restroom? Is it going to be a long time? Should I grab an ice cream cone? Should I do something else? Again, we're educating the public. And of course, it's beautiful because it'll show them things to do, live music, the restaurants. Next year, we're hoping to have this connected to Open Table so that we can automatically send out information too, so that they'll be getting updates as well. But again, we're trying to be very thoughtful about this and also very practical. What could we do this first year? And again, I have to give kudos to the city and to the Visit St. Augustine team for getting us to this point. So we said the app was available October 15th. Yay, we launched it yesterday. My team will be going out in the community. There's a lot of other things we're doing. We also have some videos that we're creating. All of these materials are free for any of you. If you send me an email, if you need posters, if you need whatever, if we missed you in our sales blitz, we can come back out. The videos will be free for you. We're going to use those for social media and other things too. So again, it's about educating. Know before you go. That's the campaign. Know before you go. It's about educating people, educating our locals, our county residents, our visitors, and our small businesses. So that's all I have for you today, and thank you very much for allowing me to speak with you.